Good morning and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives, the show where we interview creative people of all walks of life. We're also part of the Creatives Group, the private networking group for creative professionals everywhere. Together, we help you to develop your creativity, connect you with like-minded individuals, and help you to grow your creative business. That sounds like a good idea to you? Then do please contact us after the show. We'd love to talk to you. But this is On the Couch. So, Julie, who do we have on the couch today?
We have a very interesting woman on the couch today, film and TV florist Jenny Tobiin. And Jenny is a legend in the industry. She's provided flowers for 69 major films. There isn't a film that you haven't seen that Jenny hasn't worked on. So let's get her on the couch. Hello, Jenny, and welcome to On the Couch with Creatives.
Thank you very much, Julie and Melanie. It's really nice to be here.
Well, you look as though you're on the set of Beauty and the Beast or something. Do you have flowers like that all over your home?
I do. I have flowers everywhere, and I make hair slides of every colour because I love wearing flowers in my hair. It's kind of like just makes me happy, puts me in the mood for my flower arranging, whatever it is.
Well, it's like your trademark, isn't it?
It is, it seems.
So start off by telling us how you fell in love with flowers.
Oh, gosh, that's from when I was a little kid, aged 5, when my grandfather used to grow flowers, and they were amazing. And I watched them grow from bulbs into flowers, big flowers. And Grandad fascinated me by the way, and that then led me to want to have a garden of my own. So my mummy and daddy gave me the bank that was down the very bottom of our garden behind a shed, so there was no sun getting to it, and I didn't understand all that then, but I was fascinated by fungi and moss, different textures of moss. And then I had fungi, and then I used to find little bits of china in the woods because we lived in the middle of the countryside, and I made my own little textured tapestry there, and I put flowers in between, but they didn't grow very well because it was not sunny enough. So that was something that was always there, even though I did not go to art college in the end, although I had a place. And how do I do? Oh, gone. And it just was always in me. And so wherever I was in London or at home, I was doing flowers just for me. And one day I happened to find somebody that wanted me to be a model to stop me in the street. I did that for a while. And then I went to work for somebody that had some photographic studios. Meanwhile, I had this little boy and always got a nanny through the Lady magazine. And one of the nannies I'd always kept in touch with turned up one day and said, I'm coming to stay for a while, because she was back in America. And she asked if she could have a dinner party. And I said, of course you can. And so we had a dinner party at my flat that was then in Chelsea. And she invited this chappie, and he was ever so nice, and we had such a laugh. And he said, by the way, when he was leaving, by the way, who did those flowers in your hall? And I said, me. And he said, they're absolutely outrageous and incredible. Will you do some for me? I said, of course I will. So he said, I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually work in the film industry. And I said, do you? He said, yes, I do. And I said, oh, okay. Where do you want me to bring them? And he said, well, look, first of all, I want you to go up to the top of King's Road and get some cards made with your address on in Beaufort Street. And then I want you to bring those to me with your arrangement. You can do whatever you like. I really like what you've done. So I made this I loved it. I really loved doing this arrangement for him because it was me doing something for somebody else. Because I used to do them as presents. Now I'm doing it for somebody that works in the industry. When I get there, he says, I'm taking you to a set. And it happened to be Birds of a Feather. And I really liked that program. So I was excited that he was going to give my arrangement to them. And I didn't know anything about it at all. I said, I don't know anything. And he said, well, don't worry, I'll teach you. So he said, look, I want you to come and work from my place in Chiswick. And I said, well, okay, no problem. He said, I'll give you the upstairs and you can do what you like. So I started going to Chiswick every day and hoped for a job. And all of a sudden, it's just happened. And I honestly did nothing. It was fate, because I'd been talking to a friend of mine that weekend saying, I am so sick of my job. I really want to do flowers. And my friend said, well, you should at some time because you're so good at it. So that was it. And it just blossomed from there.
Blossomed. I love the pun. It's amazing how doors just suddenly open that you don't even know are there.
Well, everything in my whole life has been fated. The men I've met, the jobs I've done, I've never pushed for anything. I've just believed really hard in fate. And I still do to this day. And it's really ironic because I met you girls. I was really quiet and I met you out of fate. And out of you has come this lovely, lovely situation where I feel like I'm alive again because when I came to your meeting, I was around creative people. We all understand each other. We get each other. And that's the part I missed about not doing films through the strikes. And the strikes have still prevented films that are of any substance being made. And so Netflix and other Apple, etc., have taken over because there's got to be something. But it's just beginning to happen again. And I'm so grateful just to be around those people again, because they're my mates, they're my social life. And that's it. And I've done loads.
No,
Loads of films.
Tell us
Honestly.
about some of the films that you've done, Jenny, because you've got quite a CV, haven't you?
Yes, I've done about 69 films, and that's the truth. And I was trying to make a list of them the other day because I wanted to I thought, I don't really know what I've done because I've forgotten a lot. And I was looking through my invoices to find out on who I'd worked for and what I'd done. And I suddenly started remembering things. And then I was thinking about them in my sleep, I think. And so the day before yesterday, I sat down and started writing a list. And it starts with, I have to look at my list because I can't remember them all. But the first big film that actually got produced and was worthy was Love Actually. And I really enjoyed doing it. I was absolutely petrified because I didn't know what anybody on set did. And I had to ask the girl that booked me what the rate was because I didn't know how much to charge. And I knew her and she introduced me to the designer. And that was it. She said, I want you to just do what you feel for this. And my heart was in my mouth. I went to Covent Garden to get my flowers, and they all took the mickey out of me because they do with everybody new. And the director loved the flowers. We were in.
Are you talking about the wedding flowers in the church theme?
Yes. I did loads of others on it because we did some on a boat that was on the Thames. It was a nightclub, and there were all sorts of others. But because it was so long ago, I forget all the detail of it because my head is so full of everything and I get really excited about talking about it to people. So the director didn't like the outside of the church that was actually in central London, parallel with Park Lane. And so we thought, well, why? It's gorgeous. But you don't question it. Okay, fine. So we go to Clapham Common, and we have to do the arrangements for the exterior of the church all over again. And that was my first experience. But from then it went to things like Sweeney Todd, which had Helena Bonham Carter, and it had Tim Burton as the director, and it was Johnny Depp that she was working with as in this thing. And I do this huge, great big arrangements outside this man-made set that's got shops going all the way along, and one of them is the barber's shop, which Helena Bonham Carter's working in. And then another one, which I remember very well, is Cinderella, because the person that was the set decorator was horrible. And I don't care, because she knows it. She's been sacked now by Disney. And she was made life really hard, but she wanted the most enormous arrangements. And we had tables. I had one other person working with me because she wouldn't pay for a third. And we had tables all the way around us. And she kept changing her mind about what she wanted. Peonies, I want peonies. And peonies were not around at this point in time because it was the wrong time of the year. So I was researching how to get them. And as everybody should know, or may not want to know, is that there's one market for the whole world in Holland. And I had to find people in Holland that could source these peonies for me. And I managed to find them, and it was miraculous. But then I started using silk flowers just because I was terrified that these peonies weren't going to work. And she didn't know. She didn't notice that they were silk. She thought they were real, because some of the flowers that I had pushed in, like a tuberose, for example, were scented. So Jane, she always called me Jane, never Jenny. And I went on to do several films with her, which were all fantastic films to do. And life got easier with her. And then there was a set where we'd been working all day from 6 a.m. at Pinewood Studios, where the sets were built. And it was like a 15-hour day. And all of a sudden, she decides that she doesn't want silk flowers for the king's bedroom. She wants real roses, masses of them. 100 roses, Jane. I said, oh, right. Okay. What time are we on set? Oh, well, I need them for 7 a.m. Oh, okay. So this girl and I stayed up. We went to Covent Garden at 2:00 in the morning when they were just beginning to open. And one of the guys that I by then knew really well climbed over a fence to get into another stall there to get us Oasis, because we needed big Oasis for this. And we needed big vases as well. So he was picking up things and standing up the top of this fence and showing us them, and us going, oh no, it needs to be bigger than that. In the end, we got everything we needed from Eddie. Oh, God bless him.
In the small hours of the morning.
Yes, and we're exhausted, except that suddenly we're exhilarated because we've got what we needed. We've got the roses. So we go back to Pinewood Studios. By now, it's 5:00 in the morning, and there's a night porter there. And we go to him and we say, look, can you, we have to get into the studio. And he's tired. So he says, oh, Oh, right, because obviously we got passes to prove that we're working on the film. So he gives us the keys and says, you just do it, you just do it. So we go over and we open the door, and as we open the door, the alarm starts. And we worked through the alarm because we just went, we haven't got time to do this unless we just carry on. Because the place where the security were, which we thought would hear the alarm, was miles away, and we just carried on working through it. And we got those roses done, and they were on set ready for when this old cow came. And the director loved it. And we were just, oh, and she made it work till lunchtime.
Well, you know, people don't realize just how much dirty, grubby work goes on behind the scenes when it comes to making films, because it all looks so magical on the scene, on the screen.
Yes, it does, because they play around with it in what's called the post-production studios. It's played around with sometimes. They will cut a massive load of my flowers, and I'm gutted, but there's nothing you can do. You've just got, by now, because I've been doing it for over 20 years, I just accept it for what it is. And it happened to me on Napoleon, because that was my last big film. And I was so excited about it because I know the whole history of Napoleon, because I've researched so many things so that I'm prepared. And it's the atmosphere that we're creating is very dependent upon the script, which I either get given and absorb, or I get a précis told to me by the set deck and the designer, so that I can feel it and I know what's required. And I'm imagining this incredible, wonderful background of flowers, because Josephine, as everybody knows, loved her flowers. So we went to a beautiful, beautiful country estate where there was this tiny little house in Boughton, miles away. And we were looking for flowers that were in wholesalers nearby, because the director kept changing his mind about what he wanted, big, small, whatever. And we went to wholesalers near the sets before. We were being tested for COVID before we could get on set. And we did these incredible things. And sometimes I had 8 people working for me, 2 of which were men. And they would be the ones carrying the flowers going up to the set. And we would be so busy doing the next thing, they would just go and put them on set and then come back. And several times we were called back because the director decided he didn't want flowers now on the set, so we had to take them off. And that became the norm. And one day we were in Lincolnshire Cathedral. We know that he's being actually crowned there. So we go to Lincolnshire Cathedral. We're in a B&B miles away, but we get there. We've got everything we think is possible that they might need. He might want colours, he might want white, so we bring everything. And we start making these huge, great big arrangements. And we do them all the way up to where the font is, not knowing what the set's going to be like around the font or what he's going to decide to do. In the end, he decides that he's going to do steps, and he's going to put the dignitaries in the steps right by the nave. And hang on, we've done flowers all the way back here. Isn't he going to do a long shot of all of these great big arrangements? No, he doesn't.
Oh.
And then we do other flowers. We do things for Somerset House that are 4 feet wide, that are going to be used on Somerset House, and they're going to be dragged up the front of the building. So we know that we've got to do these things very, very strongly, but we've got to make these great big wreaths in a way that they would have been made. So we took 2 days to make these huge, great big things. One of the people that were working the prop men made us these great big circles, and we made them. They were beautiful, great big garlands in the style that that were connecting each of them, because Somerset House is huge. Carry on, carry on. I go to the cinema thinking I'm so excited. Oh, get there, I watch a war film. There were no flowers except one tiny little bunch of violets that I made because Josephine loved violets. And that's all we saw, was when they get married, this flash of her flowers. And I was gutted. And I spoke to the set
That's
director.
heartbreaking that you can work such long hours and such busy, hard hours, and at the end it's for nothing.
Yes. And
And
it's happened many times. And you just have to get used to it, because you're there. It's not for you.
yeah.
It's for we're just nobody in the scheme of things. We are in the background. We're doing our job, which we are absolutely in love with doing. And we are creating an atmosphere for the director to shoot from and the actors to work with and feel like they're really in a period film or a modern one, or like Fantastic Beasts, some weirdy, wonderful thing, or Jurassic World. So you do all these weird and wonderful things using odd stuff. And it's for them. So I love it. And I don't mind.
I'm glad you said about atmosphere, because what was just going through my mind then is to say you've done all these massive, huge arrangements and sets, and it's wonderful. But what a bloody waste!
Yes.
Of money.
And
why do movies cost millions? Because they don't want to do all this stuff, and no, we don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Well, on Napoleon, that's what happened. Either the director, who should remain nameless, called Ridley Scott, wanted to actually change his mind, or so things would be taken off the set by him, or he'd tell one of the prop boys to remove that. Oh no, I don't like that there. Or he just changed his mind about the whole scenario. But I hated it. I didn't like it. One of the films I've loved doing is The Favourite, because it's the story about an unusual queen that we had, and we filmed the whole thing in Hatfield House. The sets were all built there, and all my flowers were seen, except that they weren't quite as showy as I'd have liked them to be, because the rooms were very dark, and I loved doing it. And I managed to make friends with the people that look after the house, that decide whether or not you can work. If they don't want you there and they don't like you, you're not allowed to use water on set. You're not allowed to use lilies on set. And so that means that you've got to use silk flowers, because otherwise you might get a lily open, which is what they want, but it's dripping some pollen on one of their wonderful pieces of furniture. And if you're allowed to use their furniture, which a lot of the time you're not, we hire stuff from prop houses, and those prop houses are incredible. Anyone in the world should go and look at them, because they are so fascinating. You can get anything from 1910, or a medieval bowl, or a old radio that's for the background, or anything you can possibly think of, you can get. And I've got quite a lot of the memorabilia from my films. I've got a wonderful, wonderful light that was on Allied, and I fell in love with it. That was with Brad Pitt as well. And I fell in love with this light, and they gave it to me at the end.
You seem to have a lot of flowers. in your house. Are many of those arrangements from your
Oh,
films?
yes. And I've even got some paper flowers that I made because I was asked to do a film called Cruella. And I had the designer wanted paper flowers, and they organized a lady to go to the studio that made paper flowers, and they got some students from Kingston to make the flowers. And I rang them and I said, please, please let me come and make flowers with the girls. I don't care if I don't get paid. I just want to learn how to do it. So they said, yeah, sure, of course you can, and you can get paid. So I sat with the girls for 2 weeks and I made hundreds and hundreds of paper flowers. So there were roses and there were carnations, and they were all a little bit odd. And I don't know why, but I decided that I'd tinge them with gold or black, just because it was supposed to be all white flowers. And I thought, do you know what? She's got half black, half white hair. I'm just going to make a few and see if they like them. In the end, the film that set became a black and white ball, not a white ball. And I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the flowers because I made some when I got home to make sure I could still make them. And I've got them in a vase in my house.
Oh, you must have so many fascinating stories about every one of those 69 films. The other day, before we arranged this interview, you was talking about Elizabeth the Golden Age, where you had to work in Ely Cathedral and you had to be careful of the bats in the belfry because they're protected, and all these wonderful stories that we could spend the whole day talking about, but we can't. Can you just list a few of the films, like you are Maleficent?
Okay, I've got to look at my list, so forgive me if I look down. I've done Kingsman and the Golden Circle, Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2, Half Bad, Kick-Ass 1 and 2 that had Nicolas Cage, and I did Mrs. Henderson Presents. God, there are stories to tell about that because they were in the middle of a field. I could go on and on. The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, The Theory of Everything.
I love that one.
Did you?
I love that movie.
That. I love it.
We were all talking afterwards about how we all
those flowers were amazing.
And the people were lovely. I did Sweeney Todd, Robinson Crusoe with Pierce Brosnan, Born a King, The Theory of Everything that was with Eddie Redmayne, Maleficent, Last Chance Harvey, that was with Emma Thompson and Dustin Hoffman. And Dustin was ever so nice. He'd arrive in the morning, hi everybody, how are you? And he came on a scooter.
Makes all the difference when people are actually kind to each other and normal and human on a set.
It's very, very regular that when you bond because you're a decent human being and you're just humble, and certainly I am. I'm no big shot. I just love what I do, and I do it for that love and passion of my flowers, not for the money. I honestly do. The money, at the moment, I'm being asked to do things starting again, and I'm being asked to lower my rate, and I don't care because I want to work. And anyone that wants to work in the film industry, crikey, it's hard and it's long hours, but the reward is the camaraderie. And even the actors now, because I've done so many things and so many TV things, and you end up with a whole nucleus of very well-known people that seem to be picked all the time for things. Oh, one film I've got to tell you about before you go is called 9. And it had 9 of the most beautiful women in the world. For example, Sophia Loren, Penelope Cruz, that lovely Nicole Kidman. They were all standing on stage with my flowers. And somebody gave me a picture of them. And I've got a photograph of them all standing on stage together. And it's unique. And that's, I could go on forever, but I know you've got to go.
Well, no, we want to hear some top tips from you for anybody wanting to get into set decorating, flower arranging on film sets. How,
Yeah.
I mean, you fell into it.
I fell
Is there
into
any
it
way, any tip that you can give anybody else who'd like to do what you are doing? How do they get their foot in the door?
I think do lots of arrangements at home, photograph them, and get a website first and foremost. I think if people are trained and go to a school that's very well known, like Paula Pryke or one of the famous florists in London, go to the school, because what I had to learn the hard way was how to do fiddly bridal work. If I'd gone to a school, I would have known how to do it. I would have learned. So I think go to a school, learn the basics, and then do some arrangements in all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and put them on a website. Get someone to do a website and get that website out there. And I now get all my work through my website, because once you make it up and you get somebody to host it for you, you find that if they're good at hosting, which they've got to be, then they're the very fact that they've done it and they're looking after it all the time, and they're pushing it forward and forward on Google, you end up getting known, and then you'll get a job, because people are always looking all over the world for florists to do a job. Morocco is very, very well known for doing big jobs because it's very cheap there. And they don't take the florists from London or from the countryside. They try and find one there. And anywhere in the world you could do flowers. It's not just England. So I say to everybody, go with your heart, feel what you're doing, and do it out of love. And if you love what you've done, somebody else will. Do some outrageous ones and do some very formal ones, because sometimes that's what they want for the character, and you'll get discovered. Definitely.
And what about working as a film florist or TV florist?
Yeah.
Any tips about the hours of work? Do you need stamina? What would you say?
I'd say you've got to have enthusiasm, most important, enthusiasm, and be bubbly and cheerful, but be very quiet when you're on set and just unobtrusive, because you can upset the balance. You have to turn your phone off when you're on set. It's very grueling. You get there at 5 or 6 in the morning. You might have to travel miles. Sometimes I've traveled 5 hours to be there for 6 in the morning, and then get on set, and they don't need me till 12. You've got to have stamina. Yes, you've got to be good-natured, because sometimes they can really irritate you with the questions they want and the actual requirement for the job. But you just go with it. You say, right, yes, no problem. Yes, no problem. Even though you're in your heart, you're going, oh my gosh, how am I going to get that done in time? You just keep that to yourself and you say, yes, no problem, and do it.
I think
Whatever it is.
I think you have to have a fairly amenable nature as well, don't you? Because there's a lot of ego.
Most definitely. Most
There's a
definitely.
lot of ego, and you need to know that kind of on the back end of it, you have to deal with that. They're not going to be running around you. You have to be, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir.
Absolutely.
And do the job to a high standard.
And I still am like that. I'm not a show off. If you are, you won't last 5 minutes, because the actors have got the egos and the camera crew have got the egos. You are nobody. You're just there to make everybody feel good. And that's what your job is. So you do. And then behind the scenes, you have a laugh and a joke with the art department. And that's what makes it addictive, because you end up with a nucleus of friends that you love, because they all understand you. I've got a nickname. Mine's Jenny from the Block. And all of the prop boys that are really important call me Jenny from the Block. Oh, wicked. Jenny from the Block's here. And it's them that you can giggle with, not the people on set. So that's it.
Right. Well, as I said before, we could talk to you all day.
I
But
could
we're going to
too,
wrap up
sorry.
now. Melanie is going to pull out her values jam cards, and we're going to dig into your psyche. Now, it's very quick. There are no wrong or right answers. You're going to pick a card, and Melanie will tell you what's on that card, and she'll ask you some questions. And we really just want one word or one sentence, but just throw it up without even thinking. Just what the first thing that comes into your head, even if it sounds crazy.
Even if it's rude.
Even if it's rude.
Even if it's rude.
We'll
There's
beep
no
you.
holds barred
Okay.
here. Nothing censored on this show. Okay, I'm going to run my poorly bandaged finger along the cards.
What have you done?
I nearly cut my finger off chopping something the other day. I nearly cut my finger off.
Silly Billy.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's blue. It makes you look like a professional chef.
That is Minnie Mouse, actually. Got Minnie
Oh.
Mouse on it.
I love them. Okay, well, I can see the cards and I can see one there. Go back up.
This one.
Now go down.
This one.
This. That one.
This one. Right. This one. Let's have a look.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, Jenny. You picked a value. I think this is quite a good one for you. You picked the value of compassion.
Oh,
Compassion.
100 out of 100 for compassion.
We are creatives. We're going to ask you creatively what you think about compassion.
So go on. Sorry.
So first of all, if you could physically see compassion, what would it look like to you?
It would look like a passion flower.
Oh.
Exactly like a passion flower. Because for me, that is the most exquisite, well-documented flower.
Oh, lovely. I love that. What does it feel like, Jenny?
It feels like cotton wool.
Oh, nice and soft.
Yeah, really soft. It feels soft. It feels a little bit silky, like pure silk. Thin, pure silk, like the Indian dresses are made of.
Oh, nice.
And it feels like it's bright colours. And it's just, it can fill up your whole heart and just make your whole head feel smiley.
Oh, I love that. I love that. If it had a sound, what would it sound like, do you think?
A flute.
Oh, lovely.
And go on, ask her the next one.
What does it smell like?
It smells like angel perfume.
And what does it taste like?
It tastes like strawberries.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet ones that are on their stalk and you just pick them from the garden.
Oh,
Jenny, it's been absolutely delightful to talk to you. I mean, we could, as I said before, talk to you all day. I'd love to know so many stories about so many films that you've worked on, and maybe you can come back on the couch one day and we can
Of course I will.
get a little bit more detail from you.
I do love talking.
Now, I do know before we go, Jenny's details are going across the bottom of the screen as we speak. But in between films, we do just have to let you know that Jenny does also do wonderful flower arrangements for private events or corporate events. And she does also hold workshops as well. So if you like what you've heard today and you think that you'd like to learn some tips and tricks from Jenny, please do look at her website, Jenny Tobin Flowers, and you can follow her on Instagram and you'll find details if she does have any upcoming workshops. And you can get to know her a little better and learn her wonderful skill of floristry. But as Julie has said, it's been an absolute pleasure and a delight and a wonder to have you sharing the couch with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for asking me. I forgot to tell you about the workshops and weddings. When are you getting married?